So today's video is not going to be quite what I'd originally planned. That was going to be an addendum to the Limbo's Purposes video covering the stuff that I forgot to put in there. However, I was talking to someone on Reddit about Limbo's ability to sort of work as something of a lifesteal tank, and I decided I'd just quickly record an unlisted video in the simulacrum on the subject. But once I had the footage recorded, I thought, maybe I should clean it up and share it publicly. And if I did that, I should probably add more than 2 to 3 minutes of quick footage. And yeah, here we go. This has evolved from a quick unlisted video into what you've got here now. A general showcase of combat tricks you should be aware of when playing Limbo regardless of mission type. Anyways, let's begin with a quick thing on stepping in and out of the rift and nullifiers. Seriously, don't fear these, ever. They're really easy to handle once you understand certain rift mechanics. Basically, when you use Rift Walk, you are animation locked into the dash. No matter how hard you slam the E key or whatever, you won't get a melee or anything else out until the dodge animation has finished. However, nullifiers pull you right out of the void during your current animation. What this means is you can do things like slide attack into the bubble, kill the nullifier, and immediately dodge right back into the void. You can also slide in and shoot them, or use a ground slam from above on them. These guys are squishy, and as long as your weapon's decent, you will generally one-shot them. And don't worry about defensive objectives too much, or anything else you need stasis for. The bubble on nullifiers only removes Cataclysm and banishes if they touch the bubble or banished target. The only things that are removed from you are stasis and rift walk. Next, bursts. There are 3 types, all of which you can handle the same way, and one of them you really need to watch out for. If you see a white one, this is your prime target. These guys are the only ones out of the 3 who can nullify, and they have the most annoying form of nullification currently in the game. More on that in a moment. However, dealing with bursts is usually quite easy. Just activate stasis, toss a banish on them from anywhere, get behind them, and cut their backs open. You then need to banish them out of the void so that they can completely die, but the fight's already over. Oh, and you can do something similar with Noxes or most other regular enemies you might want to assassinate, only difference is you won't need to get behind them. As for Scrambulouses, they are much, much less threatening than they used to be thanks to their recent rework, though I suspect now that I'm drawing attention to this, they'll totally get buffed. Anyways, if you are in the void, they cannot remove anything. Not Cataclysm, not Stasis, not even Rift Walk. Don't get me wrong, you should not use this as an excuse to not leave the void and be productive, but they can't affect you and therefore can't affect anything you are defending unless you are in the material plane. Speaking of things not being affected, there are some enemies who act very strangely in the rift. Rollers, for instance, aren't affected by Cataclysm. They can be banished, but regular Cataclysm won't bring them into the void, so you're safe there if you want to hide from these oh so fearsome enemies without turning on your stasis. However, what is far weirder is how Kuva Guardians act. If they haven't been hit by an operator, they can't be brought into the void. No Cataclysm, no banish, no nothing. However, once their armor's broken, they can be banished. Sort of. And they can be stasised. Sort of. You see, banish has a much shorter duration on them than on normal enemies, and if they decide to put on their armor, banish immediately gets dispelled. However, they also can't be hit by stasis themselves and can still move around and fire their guns. But the bullets from those guns are stopped by stasis. So they're still easy to kill once they're in the void, it just means they're moving about while they're there. And before we move on, one final note, be careful when you release stasis around these guys, you can totally Zoworld yourself. Anyways, only 3 more enemies to cover, and let's talk about what is perhaps the most hateable ones in the game. Sentience. Banish has a shortened duration against them. Do not use it. Instead, drop a Cataclysm on them. Cataclysm and Stasis are not affected by the duration reduction, so they can totally freeze a sentient long enough for you to kill it. Unless it's a level 125 sentient, those guys are tanky as, oh right, you should totally be aware that disruptors and infested missions work the same way. Though I'm not sure why you'd feel the need to cast Banish on anything infested in the first place. Finally, I need to make a quick note on Grineer Manics, because they're kind of annoying. You see, once they drop to a low enough HP, they will swap to a stealth and vulnerability phase even when they are stasised. This means that you will have to deactivate stasis, wait for them to come back out, and then reactivate the ability. You're going to need to do this twice per Grenier Manic usually, so yes, be aware of this. It's annoying. You can't really do much about it, though, other than deal with it. Anyways, now that we're done talking about the specific enemies, the last point I need to make is the life strike tanking thing that I originally started this video about. Basically, once you combine Pain Threshold, Vitality, Quick Thinking, Prime Flow, and Hunter Adrenaline together with a good melee weapon that has life strike, you can actually turn into a surprisingly capable lifesteal tank that shouldn't ever die. As long as you watch your health, your energy, and don't do something stupid like standing next to 10 angry level 100 plus shotgun crewmen, you can generally lifesteal your way through hordes of enemies even at surprisingly high levels. And if things ever do get dangerous, press shift to instantly back off, go reposition, and either start meleeing again or swap to a ranged weapon if you feel the need. And yes, since this setup only requires 5 mods on the Warframe itself, you can totally mix it with any other build you need to make it work on any mission type. Whether you want to use Rift Torrent, whether you want to set up a small defense bubble, whatever. As for weapons, I generally suggest something that's got good speed and is solid at getting bleeds and or toxin gas on things just because of how Life Strike works, but it's not too important. Anyways, I'm just going to let this video continue on until I'm done killing these level 125 enemies. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you later. Farewell.